And today I am chatting to singer-songwriter Lindsey. She's hot-footed it all the way from North London, so it wasn't very far to come in the studio. But is it wet and rainy and grizzly outside still, Lindsey?
Do you know what? It's not. The sun's shined its face upon us.
Oh, that's wonderful. How poetic. You can tell that you write song lyrics. I feel like you're writing a song there. The sun has shined upon us.
Yeah, you've got to live up to the name. Singer-songwriter.
Lindsey, we're gonna introduce your album in just a moment to our listeners. But first of all, we want to find out a little bit about who is Lindsey. Lindsey, when you've travelled all over the place, you've been performing at the likes of the Royal Albert Hall, many other places.
Yeah.
When you were a little girl at school, had your little pigtails and all the rest of it, did you expect that you were going to end up where you are now?
Yes, fully did. Yeah.
Wow, so you were the little performer.
Yeah, I was the big show off. Yeah, from about 6 I wanted to be Kylie Minogue, and from onwards, yeah, I just always thought this is what I want to do, and just was that kid, the annoying kid who wants to come and watch my show, come and watch my show. That was me.
Yeah. Did you have people though saying, pipe down, you've got to think about something serious, proper, particularly in school, you have careers advisors, well, think about something more serious.
Yeah, definitely. But thankfully, I had great supportive parents. My dad was a footballer, so already that's a little bit unusual. So they were kind of open to the idea. My mum's a teacher and was very much like, well, okay, but let's think about
Plan B.
Yeah, let's think about getting your A-levels. Let's do this, let's do that. And there was me at 13 going, please, can I go to stage school?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, let's do this first. But they were always really supportive. Yeah.
So were you the one that was kind of involved in the school productions?
Oh yeah. And I'm painting a really bad picture, aren't I?
Yeah, can you imagine you let's have a come out.
Exactly, yeah. Oh dear. I know. Well, it's true. That's what it was.
So, what happened? And presumably you must have had some kind of, vocal coaching along the way, or music lessons or something. What was it that supported you along the way?
Yeah, well, I always did dance as a kid, and then it was singing that I really wanted to do. And I started singing lessons when I was about 14, and then that kind of led me to my first professional job when I was 16. And then after that, it was I went to LIPA, which is Paul McCartney's school in Liverpool, and did my music degree there.
Right.
So, and it kind of kicked off from there.
So you talk about, first professional performance at age 16. That's pretty young.
Yeah, and I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. It was it was in Southend-on-Sea, and we did a summer season of a rock and roll show, and I was like one of the singers in this rock and roll show. Yeah.
So how did you manage to do that? Just turn up for an audition?
No, my singing teacher at the time, and that's when I begun this business of it's who you know, not what you know thing. I learned that when I was 16. Yeah. So my singing teacher was involved in the production.
Opening up doors.
Yeah.
Now we've talked so far about your musical journey, but where was God in all of this? Was he significant in any way?
Well, not that I knew of until I was 19, and I was in Liverpool in my first year at uni there, and that's when someone invited me to go and watch a gospel choir, and I was like, brilliant, I love Sister Act, that sounds great. Not quite realising they were inviting me to a church service, so I went along, and I was hooked that day. That was that. So then
just like that, I love it.
There's always a story behind it, isn't there? And my dad's a Christian, and his family are, and so I kind of had that input.
Wasn't completely alien
as a
to
kid.
you.
No, it wasn't.
No.
I kind of thought God was real, but that was about as far as that went.
Yeah. So you finished your A-levels, presumably. Your mum was encouraging you to do that.
Yeah.
You did your music degree, but there's one thing having a music degree and a little bit of experience, but there's quite another thing just getting out into the world of music. Did you think, well, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, I did a bit. Well, when I was studying, I started to take on jobs already. So while I was studying, I was doing backing vocals for the Eurovision Song Contest. I was on Top of the Pops doing backing vocals, and was doing jingles and radio, TV ads and things like that. I was just basically touting myself about as much as I could in the Northwest, which kind of set me up for work afterwards, because I'd already started to make those contacts. So as for session work, as for being a singer, that had already started to come. But for me as an artist, I just started getting out and getting writing. I started writing when I was in my third year at uni, and then once I'd graduated, it was just a case of keep writing.
Just building from there. Yeah. Lindsey, who's our guest artist in the studio at the moment, we're chatting to her about her life and her journey, not only musically, but her journey of faith as well. Wow, that was getting wild at the end there. I imagined you kind of, you know, tearing your hair out and, you know, throwing things around the room. Was it quite fun to record?
Yeah, it was. Although
Lots
I had
of takes,
to,
though.
yeah, I had to remember when to breathe. Yeah, it goes quite epic at the end.
Yeah,
yeah
it reminds me when I was at school and we did Joseph and Technicolor Dreamcoat and you had to say all the colours. You know, it was red and gold and silver and I wasn't comparing it to a musical, but it just reminded me of trying to, you know, go through all the pace of that.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, who would you say kind of your musical influences are for this sort of thing?
My influences are probably, I've always loved Beverly Knight as a vocalist and a performer. I just admire her in that aspect. And then musically, I suppose for the album I've taken bits of Snow Patrol, I've taken bits of The Fray, I've taken bits of like big rock bands, and then my influence of pop as well. It's kind of a merge of the two.
So would you say that your faith comes subtly through?
Yeah, I think so. My aim has always been to make songs that everyone can connect with. And for it to be on a first listen, wow, what a catchy pop tune, or what this, or you know, and people will connect with it for whatever reason. And then after a few listens, they can understand the lyrics, and maybe, you know, that can be a bit thought provoking or a bit challenging. That's always kind of been my aim with my music.
So is your ultimate goal to have, you know, a #1 hit single?
Oh, I don't know anymore. I suppose it probably did once upon a time, but now I suppose my aim is just to continue to make music, to continue to get better at that each album I make. I'm already excited about making the next one, you know, and to sustain a career. That's kind of my ultimate ambition, is just to sustain a good career that I can look back on and go, oh, wow, look what I achieved.
Yeah. Because it's expensive business, waiting for the next gig, waiting for the next, you know, money to come in with the whole music industry. People often have to get other jobs alongside. It is a tough world to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think you've got to be a certain sort of person to keep, you know, reminding yourself to persevere. Come on.
Going.
Yeah, you can do it. Keep
Cheerleaders
going.
at the side.
Yeah, exactly. It is, but it's also one of the most rewarding. You know, it's just like a roller coaster. You'll have times when not a lot of work on, or things aren't going too well, but then literally the next day you can have a phone call and you can be jetting off somewhere great. So yeah, it's worth it.
Well, at the moment I'm in conversation with Lindsey and she's sharing with us something of her music and her life. We're going to hear some more tracks from the album after this.
Economy,
Well done!
crime,